Welcome, tennis fans, to what is undoubtedly one of the most electric, unprecedented, and historic moments in recent Women's Tennis Association history. We're bringing you a major live update about a story that has taken the tennis world by storm. Anyone following the global sports landscape knows that the Coachella Valley has become the epicenter of a sporting earthquake. The 2026 BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells, often called the Fifth Grand Slam, has been completely captivated by a phenomenon that goes beyond tennis itself. The courts are buzzing, the stands are packed, and the atmosphere in the California desert is filled with anticipation normally reserved for the second week of a major tournament. Yet this excitement isn't for a final, it's for a second-round clash that feels like the main event. The spotlight is on the meteoric rise of the Philippines' own Alexandra Eala, who is set to make her highly anticipated main draw debut at Indian Wells against the resilient and dangerous Ukrainian powerhouse Dayana Yastremska. The magnitude of this matchup cannot be overstated. When the draw was announced, the tennis community reacted with a collective gasp because this isn't just another match, it's a cultural event, a clash of generations, and a meeting of two very different but equally compelling paths to greatness. The entire Indian Wells complex is currently buzzing with what many are calling the Eala effect. Practice courts are packed to maximum capacity, fans are lining fences with phones and selfie sticks raised high, all hoping to catch a glimpse of the 20-year-old left-handed prodigy who has captured the imagination of millions. This excitement goes far beyond the sport itself. It reflects a cultural wave arriving in the California desert. To understand why the atmosphere is so electric, one must consider the stakes of this historic first match for Eala at Indian Wells. After receiving a first round bye as the 31st seed, she steps directly into the competitive spotlight carrying the hopes and pride of an entire nation. She arrives at the tournament ranked around world number 31, the result of an extraordinary 12 months that saw her break barriers for Filipino tennis, including a remarkable semifinal run at the Miami Open and victories over top players such as Iga Swiatek and Madison Keys. Eala is no longer just a promising talent, she has become a genuine force on the tour. Across the net stands Dayana Yastremska, a player whose reputation commands respect throughout the locker room. A former world number 21 and winner of 3 WTA singles titles, she is a seasoned competitor who thrives under pressure. Tennis fans still remember her emotional run at the 2024 Australian Open, where she fought through qualifying all the way to the semifinals, defeating top seeds with fearless, aggressive baseline tennis. Yastremska's story goes beyond the court as well. Having fled her hometown of Odessa during the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, her career has become a powerful testament to resilience and determination. She has already settled into the tournament with a confident first-round victory over China's Zhang Shuai, winning 6-3, 6-2, and now arrives fully warmed up and ready to derail the Alexandra Eala hype train before it gains even more momentum. What makes this matchup even more compelling is the history between the two players. They previously met on the grass courts of the Eastbourne Open in 2025. Where Eala delivered a stunning performance, defeating Yastremska in dominant fashion with a 6-1, 6-1 scoreline. That result hangs heavily over this encounter. For Eala, it represents confidence and proof she can handle her opponent. For Yastremska, it serves as motivation, a painful loss that demands redemption. However, conditions at Indian Wells are vastly different from grass. The slow, gritty hard courts and the heavy desert air significantly change the dynamics of play. The ball bounces higher, movement becomes more demanding, and strategies must adapt to the unique environment. That uncertainty is exactly why the tennis world is so fascinated by this match. Can Eala replicate her dominance from their grass court encounter, or will Yastremska's explosive power and experience flip the script? Ultimately, this historic first meeting at Indian Wells represents the intersection of powerful narratives. On one side is the extraordinary rise of a Southeast Asian tennis icon who is bringing millions of new fans into the sport. Even Novak Djokovic recently noted that the emergence of a player like Eala from a sports-loving nation such as the Philippines is hugely significant for tennis global reach. The crowds at Indian Wells are proof of that influence. Fans are chanting her name, planning their days around her practice sessions, and turning every appearance into a spectacle. On the other side stands Yastremska, a battle-tested competitor determined to prove that experience, resilience, and raw power still hold a decisive place at the top level of the sport. Together, they are about to create a moment that could define not just this tournament, but the evolving story of women's tennis itself. The atmosphere surrounding this matchup is uniquely vibrant, with a distinctly Filipino energy filling the heart of California. Fans have created an environment that reflects the passion and pride of the Philippines, turning the Indian Wells grounds into something truly special. On the other side of the net stands the unyielding spirit of a Ukrainian warrior. Dayana Yastremska plays with a ferocity capable of overwhelming any opponent on any given day. For both players, the stakes extend far beyond ranking points. The winner of this blockbuster clash will not only advance to the third round but could also earn a highly anticipated meeting with rising American superstar Coco Gauff. The drama is undeniable, the tension is building, and the stage is set for a match that could be remembered for years. To understand how this showdown might unfold, it is essential to examine the evolution of Alexandra Eala's game. The 20-year-old from Quezon City has undergone a remarkable transformation over the past 2 years. Early in her career, she was known primarily for her impressive junior pedigree shaped by the clay court philosophy of the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. However, the version of Eala arriving in California in 2026 is a far more refined and complete competitor. She has adapted her game specifically for the modern hardcourt era. One of her greatest advantages is her left-handed playing style. In a tour dominated by right-handed players, a left-hander introduces different spin patterns, unusual angles, and a serve that naturally pulls away from a right-hander's backhand. Her forehand has become a major weapon, not only because of the heavy topspin she generates but also because of the disguise and sharp angles she creates, often dragging opponents completely off the court. This ability was on full display during her strong performances earlier in the season in tournaments like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where she repeatedly reached the quarterfinals while overpowering experienced opponents. Equally impressive is Eala's movement. She glides across the baseline with remarkable speed and balance, turning defensive situations into sudden counterattacking opportunities. Perhaps the most significant improvement, however, lies in her mental strength. Being the first truly global tennis star from the Philippines carries enormous pressure, with every match becoming a national event. Yet instead of shrinking under that spotlight, Eala appears to thrive in it. The so-called Eala effect energizes her rather than burdens her. She feeds off the passionate crowds and has repeatedly spoken about how much she has matured through competing at the highest levels of the sport. That maturity allows her to stay composed during tense moments, a crucial quality when facing a dangerous opponent like Yastremska. Underestimating Dayana Yastremska, however, would be a major mistake. The 25-year-old Ukrainian represents the very definition of high-risk, high-reward tennis. Her game is built on raw power and aggressive intent. Rather than constructing long rallies, she prefers to seize control of points immediately, often from the very first strike. Her return of serve is among the most aggressive on the WTA Tour. If an opponent delivers even a slightly weak second serve, Yastremska will step inside the baseline and attack it with a full-force winner. Her flat, penetrating ground strokes are particularly effective on hard courts, where the ball skids quickly through the surface when struck with pace. This aggressive approach makes her incredibly dangerous but also unpredictable. When her timing is perfect, she can overwhelm almost any player, as demonstrated during her remarkable run to the semi-finals of the 2024 Australian Open, where she defeated players such as Marketa Vondrousova and Victoria Azarenka at the same time. That same aggressive style can become a liability if her rhythm falters. When her timing slips even slightly, unforced errors can pile up quickly. Her results earlier this season were somewhat inconsistent, with early exits in Brisbane, Melbourne, Abu Dhabi, Doha, and Dubai. However, context is important. Arriving at Indian Wells, Yastremska needed momentum, and she found it in a convincing first-round victory over Zhang Shuai. In that match, she served exceptionally well, winning a large percentage of her first serve points and dominating the baseline exchanges. Just as importantly, the match allowed her to adjust to the unique desert conditions at Indian Wells, where the dry air and gritty surface significantly affect how the ball travels and bounces. Looking at their head-to-head history adds another layer of intrigue. Their only previous meeting came at the 2025 Eastbourne Open on grass, where Eala produced a stunning 6-1 victory. While that result demonstrates her ability to disrupt Yastremska's game, it must be interpreted carefully. Grass courts reward players who stay low, take the ball early, and exploit their opponent's pace conditions that perfectly suited Eala's style. Her left-handed slice serve out wide in the ad court would have been particularly devastating on grass, skidding away from Yastremska and opening the court. Additionally, grass courts can rush players with larger backswing mechanics, which likely disrupted Yastremska's aggressive ground strokes. The slower, grittier courts of Indian Wells, however, create a completely different environment. The ball bounces higher and rallies tend to develop differently, meaning this upcoming match could look very different from their previous encounter. The courts at Indian Wells play like a slower, high-bouncing version of clay, giving players extra time to set up their shots. For Yastremska, this fraction of extra time could mean the difference between a framed shot and a screaming winner down the line, as the high bounce sits perfectly in her strike zone and allows her to swing freely. Conversely, the surface plays into Eala's strengths as well. Her heavy topspin forehand can push Yastremska behind the baseline, limiting her ability to step in and dictate play. The key battleground of this match will be court positioning. If Eala can consistently hit deep, heavy shots, forcing Yastremska to play off the back foot, she will control the tempo. But any short balls could be immediately punished by Yastremska's flat, penetrating power, regardless of court speed. Tactically, the serve+1 dynamic will be critical. Eala's left-handed serve out wide on the ad court, followed by a heavy forehand into the open court, is expected to be a staple play. Yastremska, anticipating this, may cheat slightly to her backhand on returns, daring Eala to hit the riskier serve down the tee. On the other hand, Yastremska's first serve is a major weapon. She will aim to fire down the middle to neutralize Eala's return and immediately attack with her forehand. Eala's defensive abilities absorbing pace and redirecting the ball will be tested early, and if she can extend rallies beyond 4 shots, the statistics heavily favor her. Patience is often a weakness for Yastremska. Being forced to construct points with 3 or 4 strong shots increases her likelihood of unforced errors. The psychological and emotional landscape adds another layer of intrigue. Eala rides a wave of unprecedented momentum and crowd support. Whether in Stadium 3 or elsewhere, the Filipino diaspora has turned out in droves, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of a Davis Cup or Billie Jean King Cup tie. Such energy can lift players in crucial moments, though it can also amplify pressure. Eala has shown she can thrive under these conditions, yet this is her first main draw match at Indian Wells, a tournament known for its grandeur and demanding conditions. Yastremska, by contrast, is a veteran of high-pressure matches on the sport's biggest stages. She also carries a profound personal motivation, representing a nation at war, which gives her a different emotional edge. The crowd will not intimidate her. If anything, it may sharpen her focus. The stakes extend well beyond a second-round match. A victory for Eala solidifies her status as a top-tier contender, confirms the legitimacy of her 2025 season, and demonstrates she can transition her success from the Middle East swing to the grueling North American hardcourt season, moving her closer to a top 20 ranking. For Yastremska, a win represents course correction, redemption, and the chance to reassert dominance, particularly after her lopsided loss to Eala at Eastbourne. Beyond this, the winner is likely to face American superstar Coco Gauff in the next round, a matchup that has fans and organizers salivating. Both players must focus on the immediate challenge. This is a contest that will be decided on fine margins. A missed first serve, an unforced error, or a brilliant passing shot in a high-pressure moment. The physical demands of the desert dry heat, dehydration, and long rallies will also be decisive. Eala benefits from a few extra days of rest and practice, including intensive sessions with Madison Keys, while Yastremska brings match rhythm but also the wear of her first-round contest. If the match extends to a grueling third set, the slightly fresher Filipina may hold a physical edge. Ultimately, this is a classic clash of styles. a highly intelligent, rapidly evolving left-handed tactician with elite movement and heavy spin versus a raw, explosive, hyper-aggressive ball striker who thrives on flat power and first-strike tennis. Eala must weather the early storm, extend rallies, and use the high-bouncing surface to push Yastremska out of her comfort zone, while Yastremska must maintain her first serve percentage, limit errors, and relentlessly attack any short balls, refusing to let Eala dictate the geometry of the points. It is a high-speed chess match, where every stroke carries weight, and the winner will emerge not just through skill, but through composure, strategy, and endurance. This matchup is a chess match played at full speed, where every stroke carries enormous weight and consequence. The tennis world is watching, fans are roaring, and history is poised to be written on the hard courts of California. Stepping back, the magnitude of this encounter becomes even clearer. This is far more than a second-round WTA 1000 match. It is a collision of the future of women's tennis with the relentless grit of the tour's most seasoned competitors. The frenzy surrounding Alexandra Eala's debut at Indian Wells underscores the tectonic shifts in global sports fandom. We are witnessing the rise of a true global icon, a young woman from Quezon City who is redefining tennis popularity and bringing millions of new eyes to the sport with every thunderous forehand. Her journey from the Rafa Nadal Academy to breaking into the world's top 32 is nothing short of inspirational. Across the net, however, stands a sobering reminder of the harsh realities of professional tennis. Dayana Yastremska is indifferent to hype or the chanting crowd. Her focus is survival, victory, and unleashing her explosive power to secure a spot in the next round. She is a battle-hardened warrior, having faced and defeated top 10 players on the sport's biggest stages. The contrast between Eala's measured, heavy-spin tactical approach and Yastremska's raw, flat-hitting aggression guarantees a spectacle of opposing styles. It is the ultimate test of Eala's emerging maturity and evolution against the unbridled firepower of the Ukrainian. Their previous grass-court encounter offers limited predictive insight for the high-bouncing, gritty courts of the California desert. We've examined serve dynamics, court positioning battles, and the immense psychological pressures both athletes face. The stakes are enormous: ranking points, personal pride, and the looming possibility of a blockbuster third-round clash with Coco Gauff for the victor. Despite all the analysis, the beauty of sports is its unpredictability. Until the final ball is struck, the outcome remains unwritten. Will the Eala effect propel the young Filipina to another historic milestone, or will Yastremska's ferocious power quiet the crowd? Fans are invited to weigh in who holds the crucial edge in this desert showdown. Will Eala's heavy topspin neutralize Yastremska, or will the Ukrainian's aggressive return game prove overwhelming? Share your predictions in the comments and join the debate. Stay engaged with the channel for complete coverage of the sport's biggest moments. This concludes our deep dive into the historic first match between Alexandra Eala and Dayana Yastremska. Next, we can explore a potential matchup against Coco Gauff for the winner.